facilitator. Can I be heard, please?
You are audible. No
All
video.
right, thank you.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I'll be inviting Sir Akinwale Victor Famotire. All right, while I read your citation, you can get your presentation, your slides ready, sir. Is a graduate assistant currently pursuing a master's degree in mathematics with a specialization in bioinformatics at Georgia State University in Atlanta. His research interests lie in the areas of biocomputational modeling and data science, and he is working under the supervision of Dr. Jiang. Akinwale completed his bachelor's degree in industrial mathematics at the Federal University of Technology in Akure, Nigeria. He has a passion for volunteering and utilizing his skills to carry out meaningful projects in his community. In February 2019, he led a team of 6 to initiate and prepare a computer-based examination training class for over 73 students in Ondo City, Nigeria, in preparation for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation examination in Nigeria. In January 2020, he was part of a team of 14 that held another edition of the program at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria, with over 250 attendees. Before starting his master's program, he worked as a technical support engineer at INQ Digital Nigeria, formerly Vodacom Business Nigeria, from November 2020 to June 2022. And he was one of the shortlisted candidates for the graduate trainings program at Guaranteed Trust Bank. He completed his one-year national service at the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council as a corps member, and also worked in the Technology Acquisition and Research Coordination Department of the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, Abuja, Nigeria. Can we make welcome Sir Adewale? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that biography. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I am actually grateful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be here. This is the first time I'm taking any webinar, actually. So this section will be talking about why you need to write a professor while applying for graduate school and how do you write a professor. The first speaker mentioned something about, he mentioned a lot of points actually, and that gives a summary of everything you need for the graduate application. So I wrote 2 of them down, which actually affected me during mine. I just want to share it in a brief way. When I graduated, actually, I had a 3.56 from FUTA, and since then, before I graduated, I heard about scholarships, and that was what made me to actually put in more efforts to get a better CGPA. I was a bit very, very down. I was around 3.17 before I got to 400 level for semester. And in my final 2 years, I was able to pull up about 3 dean's lists for me to meet up the 3.56. So he said, the grades are very important. To be honest, they are the most important things. For one of my father in the Lord, he say, once you get married and you have a bad marriage, you just have to start taking paracetamol and Panadol to touch it up. Same thing goes with your CGPA. Your CGPA is just like your spouse. Immediately you get out with a bad CGPA, all you just need to do is to put up something different, to be honest. You have to do something different from the other applicants. For example, when I was applying for mine, I contacted a lot of professors. I mean the graduate coordinators now, not just contacting the professors. I contacted the graduate coordinators asking if my profile matches. Most of the schools, let me say majority of those I sent the email to, they were actually honest to me. For example, Miami University, Oxford, Ohio. She was like, she's not sure if my profile matches what they needed in the department. And I also got some schools that told me specifically that my profile cannot get me a research assistant or a graduate assistant in their department. And I took it as an honest advice. I didn't apply into those schools in order not to waste my application fee. So why do you need to write professors? This is one of the reasons, because for majority of the applications, you'll be paying for the application fee. And this actually costs a lot if you convert it into the Nigerian currency at the moment. It's very high. So after I sent email, the first thing I did was sending mails to the graduate coordinators. After doing that, I have to streamline all my schools. The schools I will be applying to just 4. And I applied to 4 schools, all masters. I don't want a PhD because I made myself to understand that since I'm not that good, I've not done a lot of research, then I do not need to apply for a PhD program. Let me just stick to a master's. Even if I will get a deficit on it, then I think I can still skate through it. But as God will have it, I actually got a fully funded with a surplus on it at Georgia State University. So the reasons why you need to, I don't know, sorry, like I'm unable to use my slideshow. Okay. So why do you need to message professors? I just gave you an example about asking the graduate coordinators, especially when you have a very low CGPA. 3.56 tells you have a second class upper, but honestly, there are categories to second class upper. A 4.41 is different from a 3.56, and it's definitely different from a 3.92. So you need to really make sure you have a good CGPA if you are still in school, just like me. I wonder how it would have been if I graduated with a 3.17, it would have been bad completely. But thank God I came back to my senses. Initially, I can say it should be misplacement of priority. So why do you need to? One, I just mentioned it about some schools, about getting information from the graduate coordinators to see if your profile matches the school or not. Then secondly, for some programs in the US, it is extremely important, most especially for psychology and chemistry. I see that often. When students want to apply, you see something like you have to get a supervisor. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Loud and clear.
Okay, so you see some programs, their requirement is you must secure an advisor before you can be admitted. So in such programs, there is no need for you applying into the school without getting an advisor, because already, if you do that, you've already shot yourself, or you're going to get a rejection letter, a refined one. Then secondly, it makes you to find out if they're planning to take new students or not. For some professors, once you send them a message or a mail, you see they're telling you, oh, you have a nice profile. However, I won't be taking in any students for this session. They can refer you to other professors, like I think Professor so is doing something related to this. You can message her, or you can send her an email to see if she is taking in a new student. I wish you all the best. Things like that. Then it makes you get noticed by the professors. If a professor is really interested in your profile, definitely you get the attention and you might be called on for an interview. And the last thing is that you might get other kinds of useful information. I mentioned earlier that some professors might refer you to other professors. It happened to me when I was applying into Clarkson University, because I do not want to waste my application fee, as I've said earlier, due to CGPA, though I did GRE, TOEFL, I did WES evaluation to touch it up, things like that. But in order, even with that, I still don't just want to put in applications. So I still needed to send my mail to the graduate coordinator. That is always my first contact. I do not just look into the schools and say, oh, I am interested in this professor. No, I send the graduate coordinator's email first. So I sent him an email and he said, oh, that I'm welcome. He checked my transcript and said I can apply to their school. So from there, I got interested in a professor's profile, which actually caught my attention. I sent him an email and he responded to me in a very good manner. However, it was stated by him that he has retired from active teaching service. So he doesn't take taking any new students. He's now an emeritus professor, and I have to contact some other faculty members. So you might get some other kinds of useful information instead of you just saying, oh, I'm interested in Professor this, then you put it into your application, only for you to discover that the professor is no longer into active research. He's just like a distinguished faculty member who doesn't teach, just there for, I do not know, maybe some collaborations, because in his letter, in his mail, he stated something like that. Then how do you mail these professors? I started with the graduate coordinator. That is always my own. Personally, it has been my first point of contact. I don't just search up professors. The first thing is to look for the graduate coordinator and send them an email telling them, oh, I have this CGPA, I have this in GRE, I have this in TOEFL. Then I explain about my volunteering services, because after I graduated and I discovered the CGPA is like that, then I have to do some other things. I did some volunteering. I took up some volunteering jobs. I did some research, even though it's not related to mathematics, but in some kind of other, some other areas. And I got to understand some things through that, which I included in my application. So how do you mail these professors? The first thing is to look them up on your search engines or their faculty websites. Each school has their websites. So all you need to do is to type in the school. You can look up through Naraland. I also use Naraland as a major search engine. I look up on all these visa transcripts, see, okay, this person got funded in mathematics in this particular school. I take the name of the school, put it on my search engine, and see if I can get the graduate coordinator. Definitely you'll be able to get. If you do not get the graduate coordinator, you'll be able to get the secretary or the, let's say, general graduates admission email for that department. So you get that, and you send them an email asking if it matches. But for folks who have good CGPA, I don't think you need to do that. If you think you are good to go, you can just look up the website, look up their website, look at the professor's profiles and see the one whose research actually matches yours. Then you have to check to see if there is or are any specific instruction on how they should be contacted. If you go into some faculty members' websites, you see it's boldly stated that you should send an email attaching your CV, attaching your transcripts. They give some instructions, specific instructions, which is meant for just them alone, while some other professors do not state that. Also on their website, you can find out information such as, oh, I'm taking in students into the Neuroscience Institute. You are free to send me an email on this and that. They explain that. Then you should check if they will be taking the advices, which we've been talking about earlier. Then the last thing is, after typing your mail, you need to check for the grammars, the grammatical errors, the tenses, the structure in which you've actually arranged it. Those things are very important. And Grammarly and LLM are your mail. But personally now, I think, to me, I prefer them to other things. LLM means large language model, which the most common one at the moment is the ChatGPT. I'm not saying you should tell ChatGPT to write you a mail to a professor. You can write it out and post it on your ChatGPT to correct the grammar. So I do that a lot, and it actually helps. But do not say like just give me a mail which can be sent to a particular professor. It will give you a generic mail, which if checked on the LLM checkers, they can actually dictate that you use something like that, an AI-assisted technology to produce such mail, which they might not respect or take into consideration. Then the sample emails now, how do you write them? When I was applying then in 2021 for the 2022 admission section, I went on YouTube and I came across Dr. Igbalajobi Olumiyiwa's email sample. That was major sample. So that was a major sample I used for every of my application, even including that of the graduate coordinators and that of the professors. I just had to take take all advice he mentioned in the video. Then I wrote out my mail and sent to the graduate coordinators and also some of the research, some of the faculty members I contacted. So the subjects, don't just write inquiry. It looks generic. In fact, some mailbox can take it into the spam box. So you should be specific. You can use master's research interest. For me, I do use master's research interest, then hyphen, mathematics. Sometimes I write master's research interest, STEM education. Then you can also say postdoctoral research interest. Anyone you think suits your own application type, that is what you should use. You can get more info on it. I'm going to drop the link to the YouTube by Dr. Olumiyiwa Igbalajobi on the chat group after this presentation. Then this is a sample from University of California, Davis. We have Dear Dr. XSX. You should make sure you are using Dear Dr. then the first name and last name of the professor. Don't just write hi, sir, hello, sir, things like that. You don't need to use things like that. Make sure it's formal. Dear Dr. Olumiyiwa Igbalajobi. Now, for UCLA, the sample provided on their website, they didn't actually talk about you mentioning your name. However, it is very advisable from most of the videos and resources I've checked for you to introduce yourself first. You need to tell them, my name is Akinwale Victor Famotire. I graduated from the Federal University of Technology, Akure in Nigeria, with maybe a second class upper. If you have a good CGPA, that is where you can actually sell yourself. You can tell them you have a second class upper with a CGPA of 4.41 out of 5.0. You have a first class. Tell them you graduated with a first class. In fact, it's better you use the class rank. You can say you graduated as the top 1% in your department or even in your faculty. You are the overall best students, the overall best student of your faculty, your department. It should be in that first paragraph, because that is the first thing that will catch the attention of the faculty member you're sending it to, of the professor. Then thereafter, you can start introducing your research. Also talk about what led you to sending him the mail. Be clear about it. Don't just say, hi, sir, or dear doctor, blah, blah, blah. I am this and that. I found your research so interesting, and I think I want to have, I'm inquiring if I can inquire if I can apply into the department. It's actually not sounding well. Make sure you introduce yourself, talk briefly about the projects you've done. Then why you are interested in the research of that, in that research lab or in the research of the particular professor, and also talk about your expertise. For example, you are good in, if you think they will be needing some knowledge and skills in programming, tell them you have this in Python, you can work on this library and co. Just give them your expertise. Then from there, you can inquire to see if they will be taking in any students for the academic session we're applying to. So I have another sample here, which actually states that. So I have here, we have dear professor, first name and last name. You can actually also use dear doctor, the first name and the last name of the professor. Professor is just a university. Here in the US, generally, once you are a faculty member, you have the doctorate degree. The doctorate degree, they call you a professor because it's just like a title for teachers in the university. So introduce yourself. My name is first name, then your last name. I've completed my bachelor's degree in mathematics from, write the name of your school. Then with a CGPA. Here, for folks like me who actually graduated with a very low CGPA, please don't include that. It's one aspect of the of my mail, which I do not put. I do not even say I graduated with a second class upper. I just say I finished I've completed my bachelor's degree in mathematics, blah, blah, blah. Then I put some other things. I talk about some of the research I've done in some aspect, in some other areas. Then I include my voluntary experiences before I proceed with the mail. But if you have a very good CGPA, you can put it, because once you start saying, my name is so, and so I completed my bachelor's degree in mathematics from FUTA with a CGPA of 2.11, very sure even I will not read that kind of mail. So you can just skip that aspect if you know you don't have the CGPA point that can actually sell you out. Then after that, you have to give it to some other people who are more knowledgeable, or let me say, who in their advanced stage, more advanced stage than where you are, to review for you. For me, I do use some of my seniors in FUTA and also some of my lecturers. There are these the young lecturers we were close to when we were in school. So I do use them. I send my emails to them, my statement of purpose, please review this for me, and they do it. So that is all I've got today. Thank you.